Welcome, Keto Rock Stars. Welcome to tonight's Sunday Night Live, which is an interview with the OG carnivore, the infamous Rick Rodriguez. Hello, Rick. Welcome to Keto Rock Stars.
Hey, I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you. I can hear
Excellent.
you. How are you doing tonight, Rick?
Not bad. It's been a rainy day, and I didn't get as much done as I'd like to, but I ended up going to the store. I went for a little ride, hit the dumpster, usual Sunday for Rick.
A usual Rick day. Let's go ahead
That's
and
it.
say hi to some people that are joining us tonight. We've got Sandy in the house. Hi, Sandy. And Lynn, 22QCat, is a usual offender. She's way early, but didn't want to miss it. And then Tanya, Kitchen Witch, says, Bacon Woman and the Duck Man. Woohoo. Welcome, Tanya. Brian Fly Fisherman Dish is here, saying hi to everybody. Let's see, Twin Brook Acres. This is also Rick. Welcome. And then he's not late, so we can't yell at him tonight. And Cindy DeManch is here. Welcome, Cindy. Welcome home. Hope you had fun at your bowling tournament. Let's see who else is here. Also, while we are doing this, this is Christ is my cure. Hey, everyone. I've never seen Rick interviewed. Excited for this. Welcome.
Hard to believe.
Papa Carnivore Duck Jr. is in the house.
Thanks.
Welcome, Papa. And then Kelly, Broken Carnivore, is also here. Welcome, Kelly. And then, yes, Lynn says, I look and sound like I'm feeling much better. I'm getting over a cold, which, yes, I am feeling better. Thank you. Let's see who else is here real quick. Oh, Thomas, Target Prime Rib. Everybody knows Thomas. He's in the house. Holly Springer's here. Welcome. Tony Delisle is in the house. Welcome, Tony. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everyone. So what we are going to do is we're going to talk to Rick, and we're going to find out about his carnivore journey. And so tell us about your carnivore journey, Rick. Where do you want to start? At the beginning?
Well, let's see. Carnivore journey, does that include chasing ducks and iguanas and picking through the dumpster?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
what age did you become carnivore? Let's start there.
I became carnivore at age 15. I was a very frustrated, skinny, and short kid who was just hating his life and reached a point where he didn't care. And as a teenager, I was rebellious. My parents were very health conscious. My dad believed strongly in whole grains, green vegetables, beans, brown rice, brewer's yeast, granola bars, oatmeal, all the nasty duck food. That was what he fed me. So I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And I hated my life. I hated school. I hated the 1980s when I was growing up. 70s weren't too bad. I wanted to be in the 50s. That's when I wanted to grow up. But I ended up in the 80s. I mean, they were playing Michael Jackson and I don't know what else. I just hated it. So I hated everything. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to something a little different. And then just when I was more frustrated, junior high was over. It was time to get ready for high school. And every year, it's like this time of the year, it's almost back to school time. Next week, the kids are going back to school. So I remember it was in August. It had to be, I don't remember if it was the end of July or the beginning of August, but I know it was in August because I was helping my dad build a carport. I fell through the roof. I broke my left arm. And then I was pretty much like a bird with a broken wing, like one of those baby birds that had a broken wing and fell out of the nest. And I was getting ready to be thrown to the cats in high school. So I was just really frustrated. And I thought, well, what could I do? Is there anything I can do to avoid going to school? Well, maybe I could get sick. Maybe I'll catch a cold. But if you catch a cold, you're only sick for a few days. But my dad always told me, You shouldn't eat butter. You shouldn't have a lot of eggs. You should never use lard or beef fat. You should eat the leanest possible meats and the most vegetables and fresh fruits. So I thought, well, I'm stuck here at the house. My dad's working. My mom is taking classes to get her teaching certificate renewed. I'm stuck at the house by myself and I want to eat something. What could I eat that would really make me sick? And I thought, hey, it's very easy. I'm going to eat all the things they told me not to eat. Now, of course, I could have eaten desserts and stuff like that, but I hate all the sweet stuff. I always like meat. Every time we would go to the restaurant, it was usually the Chinese buffet or the Sweetenhouse smorgasbord. I would always hit the meat. So I looked in the refrigerator. I thought, hey, we got meat in the refrigerator. I looked in the freezer. We got meat in the freezer. I don't know how to cook, but I know how to barbecue. And I thought, hey, this will work out really well. So I figured if I stuff myself with as much fatty meat as I could with eggs and butter and lard and beef fat and whatever else I can get, then maybe I'll start getting chest pains like Sanford and Son. And I'll be like, oh, I'm having the big one. And then when I did get well enough and my arm had healed up enough to go back to school, then I wouldn't have to because I would be, just falling over with a heart attack. Now, obviously, I don't know how I thought I could give myself a heart attack considering what everybody else ate, but it seemed like a fun thing. And the thing was, I'm stuck at the house. I'm not a good cook and I don't really have anything tasty to eat, but I do have the meat and the high fat foods, which I like. And I just felt better. And it seemed like the more of that fatty meat and eggs and cheese and butter and whatever else I could get my hands on, I ate, that I became more relaxed. And the summer, was doing good. It was a week and like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, school started. My arm was still broken. I couldn't go to school. So I had to wait another week or more and then went back to school. School had already started when I was good enough to go back. And by that time, I had settled into my diet. And that's what I was eating for breakfast. No more of that oatmeal. That oatmeal, I used to throw it to the ducks anyway. No more of that nasty vitamin, brewer's yeast, and all this other crap. No more of the cream of wheat. No more of the whatever other cereal they gave me. It was just bacon, eggs, meat. And even though my parents didn't really carry that stuff, I was able to convince them to get it from the store. In fact, my mom was kind of happy that she didn't have to cook for me. So my dad wasn't too happy, but what can you do? But that's how it all started. And I just kept doing it.
That's amazing. So basically, what started out as you trying to defy your parents turned into, hey, I like this. I feel good on this. It's tasty. It's delicious. And, you were trying to give yourself, were you really thinking heart attack? I mean, was that really in your mind? Like at age 15 or 16, you're like, I want to have a heart attack so I don't have to go to school.
That's what I was thinking. But even if I didn't actually have a heart attack, at least I could be like Fred Sanford and get the chest pains. And then they'd take me to the doctor and they'd say, well, his cholesterol's high. You can't get him stressed out. You have to treat him nice. Because a lot of times my parents would stress me out trying to give me all that healthy garbage. And then in school, the kids used to pick on me all the time. I mean, it was terrible. When you're as short as I am, and if you look at my junior high school picture, you'll see how short I was. It's pretty shocking. Even the girls were bigger than me. So I got picked on a lot. And it's just not pleasant. I mean, how can you go to school? How can you learn anything? My grades were C's. Basically, I had a C average. And school was just a waste of time to me. And I was thinking if I could just get through maybe a few months at the house and then eventually I'll go back to school, then I'll have heart disease or whatever. Then I can get my GED. I can get out of school. I don't ever have to go back into that prison camp. And then I can get on with my life. And I thought, well, maybe I could modify my diet a little bit. But the thing was, I didn't realize all the effects a carnivore diet would have on me. And this is the shocking part because again, I wish my parents were still alive because they could tell you the story. And even my mom and dad, they couldn't figure it out. They could not figure out how their skinny, short son could have grown as tall as he did, go from C average to A average, and then after 10th grade, no longer get picked on. In fact, the last time that somebody tried to pick on me in the middle of 10th grade, I hit him so hard that they had to take him to the hospital. And I was really surprised
Wow.
because I am a skinny kid. To this day, I'm like a toothpick. But where I got the strength from, I don't know. But he started harassing me and I just hit him. I hit him on the side of the head, fell down. And for the first time in my life, it was like, I can actually stand up for myself. And
Mhm.
after that, nobody bothered me. The rest of high
I was
school,
just gonna say that. Nobody messed with you after that, I'm sure.
11th grade, 12th grade, I had no problems. In fact, when I went to school, at first I hated school and I didn't really like having to get up and follow, ring the bell and all that. But once I got to 11th grade and my grades were good, I really didn't mind it at all. In fact, I took electronics course, which I had taken in 10th grade. It was 1 hour, then it was 2 hours in 11th grade and 3 hours in 12th grade. So I spent most of my time in the electronics class where I learned a lot about, basic electronics, electrical theory. And then that allowed me, between the grades that I got in high school and the stuff that I learned, it allowed me to go to college on a scholarship. I eventually ended up teaching electronics courses myself at the college. So I went from being the worst student you could imagine to sort of a partial scholar. Even when I was taking my science,
And
my biology class,
do you attribute that to carnivore? Like, did carnivore help you with your like studies and whatnot?
I don't really know. But what I do know, I guess when I started, I wasn't that good in 10th grade. Now, I had just started carnivore July or August. I think it was in August. I started the carnivore diet. And I started school like third week. No, had to be like the end of August because I skipped a week because my arm was broken. Um, the first quarter of high school, the grades were okay. I wasn't really getting any A's. I think I did get an A in the math class because it was real basic, algebra, whatever it was. But and then as the year went on, the grades went up. I got straight A's by the end of the year. And then 11th grade was straight A's and 12th grade was straight A's. So I don't know if it was a carnivore diet or it was just that people didn't pick on me, but I think it might have been the carnivore diet because I still got picked on like the halfway through my 10th grade year and my grades were already going up. So my grades were going up before they stopped picking on me. And then after that, it was just almost effortless. I didn't really have to study that hard. I did. I was a procrastinator. I hated homework. I hate it to this day. But sometimes I'd forget to do it and I'd rush through it and I'd get it done and it was fine. I'd take a test. Maybe once or twice I'd miss a question, but basically I got A's. Maybe one time I got 100%, maybe another time I got 90%, but it was still an A. It was very rare that I got a B on any exam or assignment. And yeah, and I saw the world in a completely different way. I began to look at the way that things worked. I started to understand what you have to do to get by in school. And I learned how to deal with people better. I would use a little diplomacy with my teachers. I got to know, the principal and the assistant principal. And everything was different. When I was a kid, it was very stressful and I'd get in trouble and then I'd get worse. When I got in trouble, I'd bury myself, stick my foot in my mouth. But as time went on, I got to the point where if I was getting in trouble, I found ways out of it. I could find ways to either pass the blame on somebody else or just explain the situation. And most of the time, people would say, okay, that's fine. I understand. And I wouldn't be sitting in detention and my parents wouldn't be paddling me because eventually my dad finally realized, well, my son's actually pretty smart. It's no sense to paddle him. And although I have to admit, one time my dad did try to paddle me and we got into an argument because of the diet. And he put me up against the wall and tried to show how strong he was. And I grabbed his hands and I started doing this and I put them together. And my dad got actually afraid of me. It's like when my cat Milton went completely ape, he acts pretty scary. My dad was like, you know, so he says, I'm not going to do that to you anymore. You're already growing up. I can't treat you like a baby anymore. But yeah, everything changed. And it's a combination. You're going through puberty, you're growing, you're eating the carnivore diet. And I think it all comes together. And this is what happened.
That's amazing. Oh, I just want to note to everybody, if you have a question, type QQQ in it. I'm probably not going to get through all of the chat tonight. It just depends on, I'd like to give Rick the floor since this is his interview. But if you have something that you want to have read or said, type QQQ in front of it. I have a little filter over on my other screen here and I will address it right away. That is really awesome. So I also remember you saying something about being vegan for a short period of time. Was that before you started carnivore or was that after you started carnivore? And tell us a little bit about that.
All right. My carnivore diet went through stages. When I started the carnivore diet, I was still drinking milk. I drank milk until about the age of 20. When I reached the age of 20, I figured I had already grown quite a bit and it wasn't necessary to drink milk anymore. Also, milk didn't always agree with me. If I drank too much of it, sometimes it give me a little bit of a headache. So I got away from milk, but I continued to eat yogurt. To this day, I still make and eat yogurt, and I continue to eat cheese. So I figured I got the dairy. I also, I was, I guess, more to, I call it a practical or a, what do they call it? I had another term for it, but practical carnivore is probably the easiest way of describing it. And basically, it works like this: if you eat meat of any kind, 70% or more of your diet, that's a carnivore diet. Now, I don't think I ate a single fruit or vegetable from the time that I was in high school until the time I finished college. I was really stubborn and hardcore. Yes, I ate dairy. I drank milk till age 20. I continue to eat cheese and yogurt to this day. I also like seafood to this day. Fish and shrimp and all seafood is delicious. So I do surf and turf, lobster, whatever I can get my hands on. And of course, I eat other semi-exotic animals. But we had Hurricane Andrew. Now, when Hurricane Andrew hit, it was hard to get eggs and it was hard to get seafood. So all I ate was basically beef, maybe some pork, whatever meat was in people's freezers. Because what happened when the hurricane hit, you know, I didn't have a lot of food. We deliberately did not stock up on food because we were afraid the power would go out. And even though they weren't saying it was going to be that bad of a storm, when I saw it forming in the Atlantic a few days before it hit, I went into paranoid mode because another one of the talents I got from the carnivore diet was the ability to see trends and predict things. And somehow I managed to predict Hurricane Andrew. So I told my parents, don't buy a lot of food. Let's use up what we got. But then what happened was after the storm, a lot of our friends, they had freezers stocked with all kinds of meats and some of the best meats. Remember, I was eating basically ground beef, tough cuts of steak, whatever I could afford, whatever. We had a lot of people around here back then that still had ranches and dairy farms, and the old dairy cattle, when they got too old to produce milk, they'd fatten them up with tropical fruit and sugar cane and then butcher them for meat. The meat was good, but it was tough. I mean, it was not like a steer with delicious ribeye meats and filet mignon. This was like Johnny Carson or what was his name? Roddy Dangerfield used to say, well, this steak still has marks where the jockey was hitting it. That kind of thing. So they were tough. And but that's what I ate. But then after Andrew, people started giving us this meat. And I had a generator, a really old generator, and I had enough fuel. So I was able to run the freezer, and I had a freezer that a friend gave me. So I put it out back and I started collecting all the meats because they were going to go bad. So I had so much meat. I had two freezers loaded with meat, all kinds of meats. And I ate nothing but meat. No fruits, no vegetables, no eggs, no dairy, nothing, just meat from about August, well, September of 92 all the way to practically the end of the year. So I guess that's what people now would call the lion diet. But since I ate nothing but meat that whole time, all I ever heard was this. Well, that beef is going to give you colon cancer. You're going to get heart disease. I know I'm going to have a heart attack. I don't care about that. But then they were talking about colon cancer. And then they said that eating meat is going to make you impotent. And the reason why you don't have a girlfriend and you're not interested in mating is because you eat nothing but meat. And I thought, okay. But again, a lot of these religions, they told you the opposite. If you ate a lot of meat, you would be, you know, you'd have desire the whole time and you have to eat those bland foods like Kellogg or whatever said, cornflakes and all that other granola and all that nonsense. So I thought, all right, I've been hearing this for a long time. I feel good otherwise. I feel strong and I feel healthy. I'm going to try a plant-based diet. I'm going to do it in stages. I'm going to stop eating red meat January of 93. When the meat runs out, and it ran out sometime in December or whatever, I'm not going to eat any more red meat. And at that time, I was still eating. I had some pork, I had some chicken. I ate that. And then on January, I got rid of all the meats, the fish, the chicken, everything. Well, actually, I did still have some fish, come to think of it. So I was eating fish. I was eating vegetables, which I hate. I hate vegetables with a passion. They are slimy. They're nasty. They taste like something that came out of the lawnmower when you were cutting the grass. The greens, the spinach, the kale, the what was that other crap? The watercress, the some I don't know, the stupid vegetables my dad used to eat all this crap, seaweed, all this nasty stuff to get all the phytonutrients, all those great phytonutrients. And so that's what I started. I started the plant-based diet and I felt good at first. Everything was fine. Didn't feel bad at all. No diarrhea. I felt great. So I thought, okay, I'll keep doing it. Then after a while, I started feeling bad, gas, diarrhea, whatever. So then my dad said, well, you need to get rid of the chicken, get rid of the fish. Don't eat any of that. Eat more whole grains. Try to eat beans. Of course, beans and I do not get along. Every time I try to eat beans, I get diarrhea. Like, for example, if I have black beans and rice, I end up with black diarrhea. If I have the red beans, the gas is horrible. I mean, let me tell you, you know what Bart Simpson always said? Beans, beans, a magical fruit. The more you eat them, the more you toot. Well, that was me. And it was bad because it wasn't always a toot. Sometimes there was the SBD, the silent but deadly. And you're sitting there and you can feel the pressure building and you're trying to find a place to release it. And I remember one time I was in the elevator and the thing was going up slow. I was at the courthouse and, trying to deal with a traffic ticket. And I guess, halfway up in the elevator, and I was like, I can't take it anymore. I need to leave the elevator and let this go. But some fat lady was in there, and there was some guy I couldn't get out. So I said, you know what? I can't get out of this thing. I'm just going to have to let it go. And I just started letting it go as slowly as I could. And then all of a sudden, people were like, oh, and you could see them getting sick. And at the next floor, when the bell rang, everybody started getting off the elevator. And I did too, because it was so bad. Like, wow, this is terrible. And then, I had pains. And then it was like, okay, you need to keep changing your diet. So I kept trying to get more and more into the plant-based thing. You got to detox. You got to get rid of the eggs, no eggs. You got to get rid of all dairy. You got to eat just green vegetables. Then you got to take juice. That was the other thing. My dad gave me juice all the time. Now, I've always had sinus issues. So they said, well, the vegetables will help you with the sinus issues. Well, I got bad news. They did not. Not only did the sinus issues stay the same, but they got worse. And then they became a sore throat. Every time that I got a little bit of a cold, I got a sore throat and I got these little cheesy looking white things that would get back in the back of my mouth. The doctor told me that was a tonsil stone. I never had that before, but those horrible little things would get in there and they'd smell terrible and they'd irritate you. I mean, it was terrible. And then the other problem was my strength went down. I had been working after the hurricane doing cleanup and I continued to work outside. I had less heat tolerance. I couldn't lift things. My hands sometimes would hurt. If I did too much activity, arms would hurt, hands would hurt, no energy. Headaches started coming. I had headaches when I was a kid. Well, they came back with a vengeance. And usually in the hot weather by lunchtime, I'd have a headache. Sometimes I'd have to just sleep it off the rest of the day. It was so bad. And it just got worse and worse. And then sometime in the summer, I got sick. I was helping my dad. He was doing some work on the car. We were doing some grinding and painting or whatever. And then we all got sick. My dad got sick. My mom got sick. And then I got sick. And it was the worst flu I ever had in my life. I woke up one night, couldn't breathe, having a hard time breathing, nose stopped up, throat was swollen. I mean, absolutely terrible. And then couldn't eat. I got some kind of stomach virus, was throwing up and just dizzy. And I was basically trapped in bed for days and unable to eat. It was just terrible. And I thought to myself, man, this is really bad. And I don't even want to eat anymore. Every time I walked by the refrigerator and saw all those leaves and colorful fruits and whatever, I felt like throwing up. It was terrible. So, but it was a week at least. And my parents were sick too. They couldn't go to the store or anything. I was actually the first one to recover. I think I recovered first, then my mom, then my dad, which is ironic because my dad was the one that ate the healthiest. And yet when he would get sick, it was really bad. And he almost never got sick. So when I finally did get better and I was starting to feel like going to the store and doing whatever, the first thing I ate was duck eggs. When I walked outside, I was looking for something to eat and I looked under the chair and there was a nest full of duck eggs. And I thought, man, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. I grabbed 2 duck eggs, I cracked them open, I fried them in the kitchen in some butter, and for the first time in more than a week I could eat. I didn't feel like throwing up. I felt really good. And within maybe 4 hours, I was actually hungry and I was craving ground beef big time. So I got in my car. I drove to Winn-Dixie. I got over there and they had some marked down ground beef for like 69 cents a pound or whatever it was. I grabbed all of it. I remember carrying a stack of them and I was still feeling kind of weak, but I was like struggling to carry this stack of ground beef packages out to my car. When I got home, I had like no energy. I brought them to the refrigerator and that night I started cooking and was eating ground beef. And then I think I had the rest of the duck eggs. And then eventually I went to the store and bought more eggs. And back then you can get eggs for 50 cents a dozen easy. So I remember buying like a stack of eggs. And within a few days, I was eating normal and I was eating actually more than I was before. So I think that was pretty good. And that was a sign to me. After that whole experience, I told my mom and dad, there is no way in the world that I am ever going to eat this plant material ever again. Absolutely not. I'm not going to eat oatmeal. I'm not going to eat peanut butter. I'm not going to eat those green vegetables. No juices. If I hear that juicer grinding, I'm going to walk out of the house because I am not drinking that nasty stuff. And it was like, and the thing is, what really got me is when I had that flu, my parents kept telling me, you got to take more vitamin C. I must have eaten 2 bottles of vitamin C tablets and it did nothing, absolutely nothing. And vitamin C just tastes like sugar tablets because they put so much sugar in there. And it was horrible. It was really horrible. But once I got back to the carnivore diet and I felt good, and I have to tell you, I've had the flu many times after that. I get it about 3 times a year, but it's usually a day of headache and sneezing, a little sinus issue, maybe a cough or 2, and that's it. I don't think I've ever had anything close to that bad since 1993. In fact, I don't even remember the last time I was out of commission with the flu. Usually I get sick. I may have to lay down for 5, 6 hours. And then after that, I'm back to the kitchen eating. I haven't gone a day in my life since that where I didn't feel like eating at least once. So it says a lot
It's
of.
funny you say that. Yeah, it's funny you say that because, a lot of people know I got a cold this last week. And normally when I get a head cold, I am sick for 2 weeks. It was there was 2 days that were really bad. And then like the third day, and I've been on carnivore for 30 days. I'm like, the third day I'm feeling better. 4th day, I'm feeling better. Like I still have
See,
a little bit of a congestion, but I'm like, I've never been sick for so short of a time period. I'm like, this must be carnivore doing this.
it has
But
to be.
anyway, that was let's say hi to a couple more people. Tammy, hi Tammy. She's new.
Yeah.
To my channel. I don't know if you recognize her, Rick, but
No, I don't.
feel free to subscribe to Rick at Charger Mopar's channel. He's very interesting as we're finding out. Christ is my cure's here. Carrie's here. Hi, Carrie. Charlie Darth Carnivore's here too. I saw him somewhere here.
Milton.
Any questions from any? Oh, Lewis is here. We all know Lewis. Hi, Lewis. Is that really? No, that's not Milton on the thumbnail. I just chose the rando cat. But sorry, Milton. I just had to get a yes, and Papa says yes. Rick's story is so interesting, and I agree. That's why I really wanted to And Josephine's here. Hi, Josephine. I've been seeing you around in all the chats. Let's see. I'm looking for questions here. I don't see any. Oh, wait. Carrie, really? Carrie says, why is the sky blue? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, it's basically physics. What it is just that the way that the sunlight goes through the water vapor makes it appear blue. I mean, think about a rainbow. I forget what it's called, refraction. What it is, because of the shape of the water droplets, the sun hits it. That's what
Yep.
makes the sky look blue. But the sun itself doesn't look blue. But it's just that the angle where it intersects causes that effect. And it depends on what's in the air, because if you have dirt in the air, it'll be more white than blue. And if you have a large cloud, it's dark.
And Aaron Booby Goats is here, my fellow Carnivore Avenger Butter Woman. CB Carmack, we recognize CB from all of the welcome, CB. I don't know if you've ever watched my channel before, but thank you for joining.
It's a regular on my channel. And Mitch's.
Yes, I see. Yes. Brenda Foley's here. Welcome, Brenda. Let's see who else is here. Looking for questions. Lots of people here. Okay, so what is the most interesting thing you have ever eaten? Now, I know some of the things you've eaten because I've been hanging around you for a little bit, but what do you think is the most interesting thing you have eaten?
Depends on what you define interesting to be. Generally,
well, I think everything you eat is interesting, but I'll let you answer the question.
Generally, if it has a tail, it's on the menu. That's the rule, except for carnivores. So Milton is safe. Although Milton has a tail, he's not on the menu. But, whatever I can get my hands on. Now, I haven't eaten any rats, but I've eaten squirrels. And, of course, I eat iguana, whether it's something that I caught myself or roadkill. I love iguana. It's delicious. And, of course, Muscovy duck. Whenever I can get a big, fat Muscovy duck and fatten him up for a month, then he's on the menu. Pretty much anything. Pigeons, baby pigeon is known as squab. I've eaten a lot of those. And obviously beef and goat and lamb and all the regular meats. Parking lot chicken. Yep. Parking lot chicken. Those are the ones that are running around some of the areas here. People hate them because the roosters crow and the chickens are clucking. But I got my net, and I can have myself delicious parking lot chicken. So, yeah, there's all kinds of tasty treats to find around here. That's my version of fast food.
Oh, we have a question from Carrie. How does iguana taste? Or what does it taste like? And don't say it tastes like chicken. He wants you to explain what iguana tastes like.
Iguana tastes like iguana. And iguana is going to have a different flavor depending on where it lives. Saltwater iguana that you find around Miami Beach or the Keys tastes like fish. It tastes similar to snapper or grouper. The canal iguana that lives in freshwater is going to taste more like poultry or chicken. However, parking lot chicken doesn't taste like store-bought chicken. So your regular canal iguana tastes like store-bought chicken. And generally, it's going to taste like the dark meat, not the white meat. And the marine iguana, the iguanas that are around the coastline, they taste like fish. So it's where you get it from and what season too. Hey, buddy. Milton is here.
Yes. Oh, is that Milton?
Yeah, Milton. I'll show you.
Oh,
Let's see, Milton here.
Since Milton is here, what does Milton eat?
He eats everything that I do. Oh, yeah.
He's so cute.
Look at that cat.
Look at that handsome boy.
Okay. I'll let you sleep. There you go. He likes to
So
sleep.
he's carnivore.
Yes.
Does he eat iguana?
I haven't given him iguana yet, but I'm sure he would. He'll eat anything. Anything that I eat, he walks up to the table. He sticks his nose into my dish, and he wants something. He wants to taste it, whatever it is. He'll eat beef, pork, chicken, duck. I haven't given him iguana yet, but he'll eat almost anything.
So if money was no object, so don't worry about the price. What is your favorite carnivore meal? What's your absolute favorite?
Obviously, Beef. It's what's for dinner.
Is there any particular like cut or like, steak or roast or ground beef or what?
T-bone steak. I've always enjoyed a nice
T-bone
T-bone
steak.
steak.
That's nice. What's Milton's favorite? T-bone steak?
Well, Milton generally gets ground beef. He gets raw ground beef, or he gets raw top round, or whatever's cheapest. I haven't given Milton any of the expensive steaks yet because I haven't had any for a while either. Actually, I did have
Right.
one. I had one of my viewers buy me some tasty picanha, and that was delicious. And I did give some to Milton, and he did eat it. So I don't think there's anything that I eat that he won't eat.
Probably not. Let's see. Oh, if you were stranded on an island, what 3 things, if you could only take 3 things with you, what would those be?
Well, that depends on what kind of wildlife is on the island. But definitely, I need to have a good knife. I mean, you can't live on an island without a good knife. And I need a way to start a fire, so I might have to have a magnifying glass. And, some large pot that I can cook in.
Nice. Nice. I heard another interviewer ask that question. I thought, oh, that's a good one. I may have to keep that on my list of questions. Okay. I know that you and I are both into shopping on a budget. I'm into that too. I'm not rich by any means. I'm sure from hearing your live streams, you're not rich by any means. So what are your tips for shopping on a carnivore diet on a budget? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, you're going to need a freezer. And second of all, save your money so you can stock up. Go to the store, look for the markdown section. If you don't have one, talk to the worker in the back or the butcher in your butcher shop if they speak English. Otherwise, you'll have to use a Spanish translator and find out when they take down the meat to mark it down. They'll mark it down as much as 50% if it's out of date or ready to go out of date. Generally, if it goes out of date, they'll throw it away. But if you can catch it, like sometimes you go to the store and look at there, if it expires that day, you can go and ask them, how much of a discount will you give me? They always give at least 20%, but I've had it 50%. So look for the markdown meat. Buy as much as you can afford, bring it home, put as much in the refrigerator as you can use in a day or two, stuff the rest in the freezer. And that way, it's like money in the bank. When you have your meat in the freezer, then you don't have to worry. When you go to the store and you don't see a price you like, you don't have to buy. And then you just wait until the next time they have a sale or the next time that something is marked down. And then you go for it. It's simple.
That's great. What are your favorite stores that you usually shop at? I know you have different stores than what we do here.
Used to be Winn-Dixie, but they're not as good as they were. They do have deals occasionally, but they have the Cuban version of Winn-Dixie called Fresco y Mas. They usually have better deals. We have a supermarket called Presidente. Presidente generally doesn't have deals on beef, but they do have deals on pork and chicken. Then you have Sedano's. Sedano's does sometimes have deals on beef, but they always seem to have pork and chicken. And the best deals on beef are generally Fresco y Mas, sometimes Winn-Dixie. Now, Aldi, they used to have good deals on beef. They don't anymore. But for a while, they had really good deals. You could get ground beef for $1.69 over there until a few years ago. So Aldi was a good choice. Other than that, let's see. Publix is garbage. They never have anything there. Who else? Who else do we have? Let's see. Publix. Oh, there's another store, and I can't remember the name of it now. But I don't really go there. And there's an extra supermarket, which is another little Latin supermarket. They sometimes have deals, but that place is usually a madhouse. But there is one other store,
And how often do you go shopping since you're looking for like the deals on meat that's close to its, expiration date?
Generally, I only go shopping when I'm working. So let's say that I work that day, and then on the way home, I'll stop at every store that I see. So it's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes I'll make a special trip, usually on Tuesday or Wednesday. The Fresco y Mas, that's about 9, 10 miles out there. They'll mark stuff down. So I'll go there. It depends. It really depends on, where I am at the time. And if I'm in a different part of the city, I'll hit a different store. I try to go to every store that I can so that way I can look for deals.
Okay, we have another question. See if I can find this here. Meathead is here. Hi, Meathead. We also have Paul, Defense Wiz, and Evelyn. Okay, I'm not sure if this is a joke, but Meathead, you know who Meathead is. He says, biased. What if you shop in Asian market? I'm not
Well,
sure.
if you shop in an Asian market, make sure it's not next to a canal or animal shelter. That way you're more likely to get, the advertised product,
Not cat.
because if they're next to the canal, you may see that the ducks start disappearing and you go in there and they have duck. Like, okay, is that Peking duck? No, no, that's canal duck. No, no, okay, well, we don't want no canal duck. And the animal shelter is a joke. We used to always laugh about the Asian market. But what I have noticed at the Asian market, they do have deals on seafood or other kinds of sea creatures, you could say. They have some interesting things there, like octopus and squid and all this other strange stuff. And they have these oddball little birds that look like little game hens. But I always joke, I said, well, those are the squabs or pigeons that they got from outside. Those things are pretty good. There used to be an Asian market here, but it's long gone. It's been replaced by, I think, an auto parts now. But they're what you call Lucky Asian Market. It's gone now. But I remember going there years ago. They even had tanks with live seafood in it. They have like some kind of shrimp or lobster or some kind of thing in there. It was an interesting place.
Have you had a squid or octopus before?
Yes, I have. I've actually caught and cooked octopus.
And is it good?
It's If you like rubbery meats, it's pretty good. It's a bit on the chewy side. And you do have the little tentacle things that can freak out a lot of people. It didn't bother me. The meat is good. It's just a little bit on the chewy side.
And isn't squid calamari, like, isn't that what
Yes.
calamari? I've had that a million times before I went, keto carnivore, and that breaded and fried, that's really good
Well, I prefer
to
it boiled
say.
or steamed, but that's just my way.
Yes. CB says Publix does run rib roast on sale at Christmas every year for $6.99 per pound.
Okay. I don't like Publix because I hate it. It used to be a great store when I was a kid. It was sort of futuristic and they redid it. Now it looks like the inside of Home Depot and everything costs a lot of money. So I stay out of Publix. Their meat doesn't even look that good.
Yeah. Let's see. What advice would you give somebody who is just starting out on the carnivore diet?
Well, it all depends on the reason why they're starting the carnivore diet. Are they starting the carnivore diet to try to get healthier? Or are they starting the carnivore diet to have a heart attack like me? If you're starting the diet to get healthier, I would recommend easing into it. I wouldn't recommend jumping in completely because you could have some pretty bad reactions. And then you're going to say, well, this carnivore diet's not for me. And then you're going to go right back to the duck food and be wagging your tail and waddling and quacking. And you're going to be happy. Of course, you'll be sick, but you'll think you're happy. But if you ease, if you ease into the carnivore diet, the best way would be to go keto. Don't try to torture yourself with carnivore. Take this example over here and try keto
Mhm.
because keto is getting to carnivore and you can still have some of the plant material you like. Or you can watch like Chris Cooking Naturals channel and do some creative keto dishes that taste just like duck food. And then once you get used to that, then you can start adding more and more meat. And that's it. It's simple. Now, if you want to do it the hard way, you can jump right into the carnivore space like I did but I never had any bad effects. But some people get diarrhea, some people get all kinds of issues. You may do that. But if you're a youngster like me, you probably won't have a problem when you started it.
And I will add to that, I was keto for 7 years before I went carnivore, like fairly strict keto because I get bad effects from eating sad diet food, so I didn't cheat a lot. And I have essentially zero I haven't noticed any bad effects, only positive going from keto to carnivore. So if anybody's wondering about that, I just wanted to throw that quick blurb in there that I think Rick is on to something there. Because I did get the keto flu when I started keto. I felt like I was homicidal for about 2 weeks. I didn't feel good. But once you get past 2 weeks, you're on the other side. It's good. At least it was 2 weeks for me. And again, nothing here is medical advice, or, to any specific person. We're just telling our stories, Rick and I are. So not to be taken as medical advice or anything like that. But yeah, that's awesome. I would recommend that too, probably. And oh, this is a good one. Uh, have you ever been to a doctor or dentist? And when was the last time you've been to either of them? And I kind of know the answers, but this is for entertainment purposes.
The last time I went to a dentist was 1986. It was down the street. I don't even think there's a dentist there anymore. I think it's a doctor's office now. The last time I went to a doctor was 10 years later, 1996. And I actually made a video where I rode my bike past where the doctor's office was. It is now part of a kidney dialysis center, but that's where the doctor was. So 96 was the last time I went to a doctor, and 86 the last time I went to a dentist. And the funny thing is, when I was going to the dentist, I have 2 cavities up top that they filled in with toxic fillings when I was a kid. They're still there. I don't know if they're poisoning me or what. The last time I have a cavity was probably early 80s, 81, 82 maybe. I had a tooth that was broken. You can see here now. It was a lot more broken when I was younger. It broke all the way halfway. But over the years, it seems to have grown. Now, the dentist tried to fill it. They used some kind of epoxy, and it lasted until I turned about 30 years old. Then it fell out. But since then, I mean, it's grown. The teeth, you can't really see it, but
Your tooth has started to grow back?
yeah, it started to grow out a little bit because the crack went all the way down to the gum, but it actually has grown out over the years, which I think is really kind of interesting. I have another tooth that's chipped from some buckshot when I was chewing on some meat. We were hunting, and somehow I cracked the tooth with some buckshot, and it never got a cavity. I have no cavities on the bottom, but they're crooked. See, they're all. When I was a kid, I had chronically crooked teeth. So they told me when I got older, by the time I got to my, 18, 19, I was going to have to go and get the wisdom teeth pulled. However, the wisdom teeth, they said they were impacted. They grew in crooked. These actually on the top are perfectly straight. The ones on the bottom are crooked. They grew in sideways, but they did not get stuck. And I think what happened since I started the carnivore diet when I was 15, the teeth were starting to grow in. And I think my mouth actually expanded because I looked at a picture of myself when I was like 12. This was crowded up here. It was kind of like inset, and it stretched out. So the upper jaw actually grew bigger and the bottom a little bit, but not so much. So, and I think that was probably due to the carnivore diet.
Have you had any health issues that you care to talk about other than like flu, cold, normal? Like, have you had any issues?
Sinus condition. That's all.
But you've had that your whole life,
Yeah,
right?
I've had it
And
my whole life.
does that seem to be cyclical with allergies in certain seasons, or?
No, it's pretty consistent all year. I mean, it does get a little better in the cooler weather when we get our rare cold front. Sometimes it'll completely go away. And in the rainy season, it's a lot less than in the dry season. Like right now, it's better. If you see my interviews in the rainy season, I usually don't sniffle much, but in the dry season, I sniffle a lot. I'm one of those people that cannot take a desert climate, any place where the air is dry. It just constantly bothers me. It's a sinus issue, makes it worse. Humid air seems to be the trick. Also, you have to realize I live in a house full of mold because the roof leaks and there's rot everywhere, even though I'm trying to fix it. So I have a feeling that that may be what aggravates it.
Oh, it could be mold related, maybe. If you have mold, like any type of black mold in your surroundings, that could be aggravating that as well, I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But so otherwise healthy. Of course, you haven't been to the doctor and since 96, so
I could have a heart attack at any moment. I could have a heart attack right now.
not
Have you
happening.
seen my
I
blood
don't think.
pressure?
Yes, so Rick's blood pressure is like, what does Papa say? Like a step above a cadaver. It's like really low. Rick has the lowest. What is it? What does it run usually? It was really low when you took it the other night on camera.
Relax, 90/60. 90/60 is normal for me at rest. With a
That's
heart rate of about 60.
crazy. Yes, Carrie's saying jokes. Yes, Carrie, I am seeing your jokes. They are awesome. I just want to give a shout out to him. I'm focusing on Rick's interview, so I'm not able to read every chat tonight. But if you have a question, put a QQQ in it, and it will pop up in my filter on my other screen through OBS. And let's see. Okay, so I've asked you this before. This is a good one. I noticed that your hair is dark. Would you mind explaining your age or telling us your age? And do you color your hair?
Okay, let me explain my age. Everybody should know by now I am 57 years old. I was born in June of 1968. So I'm old. Now, if you look at my hair,
It doesn't look very gray.
it has no, I have no gray hair. The only gray hair I have
What
anywhere
is-
on my body is right here. There's a few of them that grow in here in the facial hair. My eyebrows, nothing else is gray. I do not color my hair. I use no skincare products whatsoever. I do not color my hair. I do not moisturize my skin. I make my own soap. I use no cologne or deodorant. That's probably why everybody stays away from me. And I live about as natural as you could. So what you see is what you get.
Oh, CB says Rick's blood pressure is due to fat clogged arteries.
Well, there you
Had
go.
to share that one. Holly has a question for you. She says, my blood pressure runs low too. When you're in pain or stress, does your blood pressure go up or down? Mine bottoms out when it should elevate. That's a great question.
When stressed, mine goes up. And what I've done, I've actually gotten on my bicycle and I've rode as fast as I can, and the blood pressure will go way up. Then when I sit down, in about 15 minutes, it returns to the normal rested blood pressure. But it does go up when it needs to. And that's probably why I never get dizzy. And if I was to stand up right now and I could run outside, it wouldn't bother me. So yeah, my blood pressure does go up when it needs to.
And Paul says, hi, Paul, by the way. That's where mine is too, 90/60. My endo always jokes that she could take a nap between systolic and diastolic impulse rates. That's funny. And we've
Yep.
got another question. Carrie, well, and congratulations on your new job, Carrie. We're all excited for you. I hope it's going well. He says he's now able to afford meat again. How can you eat carnivore since meat here in Texas has banana prices?
Well, bananas
So, do you want
bananas
to?
are free, aren't they?
I think he means crazy prices. Banana, like
Oh,
banana crazy prices. So in Texas, he says his meat is expensive. I can answer this, but I'll let you answer it first.
I look for the markdowns. I mean, I don't even look at the regular price. I can't afford that. And when I can't get any beef or anything like that, I just have to head to the canal and go searching for more ducks or iguanas. That's all I can do. Or go fishing.
Well, and that's a good idea too, fishing. Yeah. If you don't like, hunting ducks or iguanas. And I don't know if they have iguanas in Texas, but I'll answer this too because I was worried about like, oh my goodness, this is going to be too expensive. I'm not going to be able to afford carnivore, like just eating meat all the time. And it's not always steak. Okay. I may have steak once every couple 2 or 3 weeks because my husband, that was the first thing he said. He's like, don't eat all the steaks. You're forbidden. So I've noticed, and I have to be honest here, when I was eating keto, sometimes things would creep back in, like some of the keto snacks. Not very often, because those are junk, but and I love keto chow. I'm not gonna knock keto chow because I was making ice cream, keto chow ice cream, but that stuff's expensive. So the $100 I was spending on that and flavored electrolytes, I can now spend on more meat. I can spend on another thing of $27 frozen burger patties or more eggs. So honestly, all of the extra stuff that I was buying, even vegetables aren't, if I spend $5 on vegetables, that's $5 more in meat and eggs I can buy. So I feel like where I thought I was going to be spending more money, I'm probably spending about the same or less just because I'm not snacking as much. And if I snack, it's usually on butter or bacon. So I don't know. Rick probably doesn't have that comparison because he hasn't eaten any of that stuff since 1985 or whatever. But
E3.
and they didn't have like junk keto snacks back then. So you were just eating meat and eggs. So yeah.
I didn't even know what keto was until probably 2018. I had no idea.
What did you think when they came out with Atkins in the
I remember that in the
I
late 90s,
discovered
early
in the
2000s.
90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think? You're like, I'm already doing this, only better. Did you think that when that came out?
I kind of did because I remember I saw on TV on one of the stations they were talking about Atkins diet, and then my dad says, "Oh, that's kind of like how you eat." Yeah, I guess it kind of is. But the Atkins diet was a little different because it wasn't the same as Rick's heart attack diet. Atkins diet allowed some of the plant material, whereas Rick's heart attack diet is basically a plant-free diet.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Meathead, thank you, Meathead. We appreciate it. This is interesting. Okay, so Papa says you need lots of vitamin C supplements if you eat lots of sugar and carbs because sugar and carbs blocks vitamin C absorption. So that might be why it didn't take me as long to get over this cold too. Sandy's pointing out that you go dumpster diving.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that at all? Like what some of the interesting what is some interesting finds that you've had looking in dumpsters?
All you gotta do is look around my house. About half the stuff I own came from the trash. You know, my phones. Everybody knows my famous telephones. They're from the trash. What I try to do, I try to get it before it hits the dumpster. But I'm not afraid to dig around in the dumpster and find some goodies. And I even get food out of the dumpster. Years ago, they used to throw out meat all the time. So I tell them I'm getting it from my cats. Some of it went to the cats, some of it went to me, some of it went to the ducks. So yeah, I always say I hardly throw anything out. I mean, when I generate almost no garbage, and when I throw something out, it's because I cleaned somebody else's place and I got rid of it. I don't really throw out anything. Of course, I don't buy much of anything anyway. The only thing I buy is food and energy. All the other stuff, somebody either throws it out or I pick it up cheap at a yard sale or marked down when a business goes out of business. That's why I got so much junk because I try to get everything I need years ahead of time. I use no paper towels or toilet paper, so I don't have to buy that. So it's pretty basic. I even make my own cleaners. I generally make my own soap from wood ashes and leftover lard and tallow.
I'm not sure I want to know about the no toilet paper thing.
Well, that's why they invented a hose. I got a hose with a sprayer, and I use those white washcloths. I had some here, but they're those little white washcloths. So what you do after you do your business, you get the soap and water, and you clean yourself off and rinse it off, and then you get the little washcloth, dry yourself off, put the washcloths on the rack. When you're a carnivore, you go once a day. So that goes when it dries on the rack, it goes into the washing machine to be washed. So once a day, you use a washcloth. It's the same way you
You
clean
know,
the
and if you
yourself in the bath. Yeah.
well, and now they do all these diaper services with reusable reusable diapers have been like a thing for before they had disposable diapers. So, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's no different.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're actually washing off any residue using soap, and which is basically homemade liquid soap that I make from lard and beef tallow. And you put it on there, and you use your hand to move the soap around. You get the water and you wash it off. You wash your hands in the sink. It's not like you're sticking your hand in the toilet and forcing the turds down there. You're just, you know, you're basically, it's like you're washing your hands. It's like if you went outside and your dog pooped on the ground, and you get a piece of paper and you grab the dog poop and you put it in the trash. It's kind of the same thing, except that
Right.
you're just cleaning yourself off. I never understood the idea of taking toilet paper and smearing feces all around your skin. I don't really understand how that is supposed to work. That just sounds pretty nasty, but soap and water makes sense. I mean, if you stepped in a dog turd, you're not going to just wipe it off. You're going to get a garden hose. You're going to wash the turd off your shoes. That's kind of normal. So, doesn't it make sense to use the hose to wash your bottom and then put soap on it and then rinse it off? And then you use a washcloth to dry it off. And you put your clothes back on, and that's it.
That's awesome. That was very colorful way of explaining that, but yes. So Paul says exactly, it's just about allocating income to where you feel is important. If you can afford steak that week, great. If not, chicken and pork and ground beef it is, or in Rick's case, duck, iguana, parking lot chicken.
That's it.
And then CB also says you can afford carnivore because most people, with exception of Rick, you don't eat it as much. And I'm finding like today, I only had one meal today. I'm not even hungry. Yeah, I did have 4 pieces of bacon before the live stream though, because I'm like, I will get hungry if I don't eat something. So I had a snack, and then he says fatty meat signals leptin satiety, so your appetite goes away. I save a ton of money and time on carnivore. And really quickly, again, I don't want to talk about myself too much, but I did go to that party yesterday. And this is the first party I've been to since I went carnivore. And my brother said they were going to have hot dogs and hamburgers. So I thought, no problem, right? I did pack 2 hard-boiled eggs and 4 pieces of bacon with me. But when I got there was no hamburgers and hot dogs. They ordered fried chicken that was breaded and fried in seed oils because it was easier for them, which I get it. No problem. And they had a bunch of side dishes, which I couldn't eat. So I just had my hard-boiled eggs and my bacon. And guess what? I didn't even have any cravings. They had birthday cake. They had a bunch of chips and dips and stuff. And I was like, that's great. And you know what? I wasn't hungry. I took a bottle of, what's that carbonated water stuff? Like Topo Chico or something. Took a bottle of that. People were, having beers and whatever. I didn't even want any of it. I just was happy to sit there and socialize and eat my own food and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting that happened. Let's see. Any other questions? Kelly says you can find some goods at the dumpster. Sometimes residents at work trash good stuffs. Kelly works as a maintenance for apartments, I think. So he said 2 months ago we found some good tools. I bet you found a lot of tools and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
dumpster diving.
I have to give you a tour of my garage. That's like where all the good stuff goes from the dumpster.
The only time I've ever dumpster dove was in my own trash, and that's because I noticed some of my clothes sticking out of the trash can, and my husband had thrown some of my clothes out and he found, and I got upset and I was like, wait, this is still good. And so I went and retrieved some of my own stuff from my own dumpster that my husband had thrown out on me. But that's a whole nother marriage story. We don't want to get into that. Um, let's see here. Do you ever experience people treating you weird or unkind in social settings because of your diet? Or are most people tolerant and even you know, good with the way that you eat?
None of my friends have ever treated me bad because of what I eat. I think it's more a curiosity. And a lot of it is because I'm such an oddball. I'm so tall and I don't look bad for my age. And people are always trying to figure it out. What does Rick do to avoid the gray hair? Why is Rick not fat? Why has he always been skinny and eats a lot of food? What's the secret? Is he taking something? Maybe he's on that Ozempic. No, he's been like that his whole life. So it's like, okay, no, I never have a problem. Everybody that knows me knows what I like to eat. So whenever they have a get together, they're going to have a grill going. They're going to have some kind of meat. And they all know that if they try to give me something other than meat, I'm going to start making funny noises like quack, quack, or any of the other duck noises. I'll say, oh, it's the duck food. Here, ducky, ducky, ducky. So they don't make fun of me because I just turn it into a joke. So what's the sense?
That's awesome. I've found that most people around me were pretty good about it too, but you've never had a weight problem. You've always been thin, correct?
Yeah. My
So
weight has
when
been the
you're
same
I'm
since
just
I was in college.
Yeah. So when you're heavy, especially if you're female, and people start seeing you lose weight, then they're like, "You're sick. Do you have cancer?" Like, I've been asked that if I had cancer when I lost like 100 pounds. They're like, you must be sick. Or you're getting too thin. Are you anorexic? That was another thing. Um, I don't know if you felt that kind of judgment, but I've definitely felt judgment over the years. So that's kind of where I prompted that question from. But
I used
um,
to hate being thin because I don't think I always liked the guys that were muscular better than us skinny guys. I think they look better. But the thing is, this is a weird part. Performance wise, when it comes to working, there's no disadvantage to being skinny. And I can lift things that these muscular guys they struggle with. And it's like, Rick, I don't know how you do it. You pick things up, you throw it in the truck, you carry heavy furniture out. When was the last time you had a back issue? I said, I've never had a back issue. My back has never hurt in my life. And what about your knees? Nope, my knees don't hurt. You don't get pains, your feet don't hurt. No, my feet don't hurt. Nothing ever hurts. Unless, of course, I run into a coconut tree when the wheel comes off my bike or I get in a car accident. Yeah, then it's going to hurt. But normal work, because I don't push myself that hard. If it's too heavy, I'm not going to lift it up. I'll let I'll let a piece of equipment lift it up. But for what I normally do, I never have a problem. So really, other than aesthetics, there's no reason for someone like me to try to put on a lot of muscle to look good so you can walk around in a tank top and impress the girls or guys if that's what you're looking for. But if you just want to perform and get stuff done, then being thin is fine. I mean, again, I got skinny arms. I'm not one of them big, muscle guys, but I can get the work done, and my legs are skinny too. And you should see how fast I can walk. I can outrun almost anybody that I know. In fact, even my friends' younger kids, they're in their 20s, they can't run as fast as I can. And it's really shocking to them. How in the world are you so fast? Well, it must be because you have long legs and you're tall. But I still think it has something to do with the carnivore diet and the fact that I try to keep my stress level low. I don't let myself get stressed over simple things. I try to keep control over it. And I think it's all part of the lifestyle. I mean, think about it. If you were hungry all the time and you were trying to satisfy that, like most of the people I know, they're constantly drinking energy drinks to get energy. They take Gatorade for electrolytes. They snack all the time. They're always eating something out of a bag or a box. They go to the drive through. I don't do any of that. In fact, I don't really even carry water with me. Oh, Rick, you're going to get dehydrated. Well, I mean, if I'm starting to feel like I'm overheating, I'll stop. I'll go to a cooler place. I'll find water. Now, I've had to drink water out of the canal before because I didn't have any water. I didn't get sick. Somehow I didn't get sick. I don't know. But a lot of it that I see in people is that they get in these habits. They have to eat certain things. They have to get a certain taste or they're not happy. They have to have their Chick-fil-A or they're not happy. But I'm fine eating off the engine. So we work together. They'll go to Chick-fil-A. I'll have the meat stewing on my engine as I work.
So you cook meat on your vehicle engine?
Or equipment, yes. On my truck or Bobcat.
How does that work?
Well, what do you need to cook? You need a container, you need food, and you need heat. Engines produce a lot of heat. So you simply attach the container, or you could even use foil if that's all you got, to the hot part of the engine, the exhaust manifold. I have round containers that have a little thing welded on it. You can just clip it right onto the manifold. And if you're going to drive, especially in Miami traffic, where you spend more than an hour sitting in traffic, you could cook your lunch right there and it'll stay warm. So you get to the job site, you may not be eating for a couple of hours or more. Just pop it on the engine. The engine stays hot. It doesn't cool off instantly. So it's like having your own food warmer. So you can cook your food. It can keep it warm on the engine. It'll be nice and moist. And it's not going to taste like motor oil because it has a lid on it. And there's actually a couple of videos of me cooking on my engine. The other option is a portable grill. I usually keep a portable grill in my truck, keep it right in the back of the truck. And when you want to cook, if you're real fancy, you can buy one of them expensive tailgate grills and grill right there. But I just keep it in the bed of the truck and you fire it up. You can use, you can use charcoal if you have a lot of time. I just use a gas grill. It's quicker. And the meat's in a pot anyway. I don't put the meat on the grill. I don't want it to drip all the nice fat and get charred. I'd rather have it in a container. So I'll put the meat in a frying pan or in a pot with some water in it, fire it up, and cook it up. It's easy.
I swear, if we're ever in like end of times, it's people like you who have survival skills are the ones that are gonna be able to live. I don't know. I think about that kind of stuff.
I even make my own cooking gas here at the house. I don't use propane. I make natural gas.
That's awesome. We got a few more people here. Let's say hi to. We have Carl Keto Dog. Welcome, Carl. And we all know Gary, No Slow. He says Peter T-Bone Eater is.
Yes, he is.
And talking about Papa being a T-Bone king. Yep. I'm gonna have to go back and find these videos now. And then Sandy says Rick is famous for his heart attack chicken. So I've made your heart attack chicken. It's amazing. But I'm hearing about this heart attack hamburger. How do you make that?
That's another one of my specialties. And actually, somebody copied my heart attack burger, although I don't think he knew I existed. If you've ever heard of the Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas, they have their own version of Rick's Heart Attack Burger. But his burger is not as good.
Do you just fry it? Do you fry it in tallow, or what do you do? How do you make that? What is the Heart Attack Burger?
I use one of those griddles that you put on the stove. It's a square griddle. You get 4 half-pound patties of ground beef. You put them in the griddle and you cook them low and slow. And then that way it doesn't cook off a lot of the fat. It'll cook some of it off, but you let it cook it on one side, flip it over, cook it on the other. Then when the patties are done, you're going to get some cheese. You can use provolone. You can use Gouda, cheddar, any kind of hard fermented cheese. Do not, under any circumstances, use that cheese-like garbage product that looks like axle grease. It tastes awful. I always hated that stuff since I was a kid. It comes in plastic. The Kraft singles, they are filthy, disgusting. I'd rather eat garbage off the garbage can than eat that nasty stuff. So don't ruin your burger with that. Use a good quality cheese. And if you're really rich, you can put some Parmigiano Reggiano, shave that on there, put it on your burger, gives it that extra flavor. And don't forget the most important part of Rick's Heart Attack Burger, bacon. You're going to need 4 strips of bacon for each patty. Actually, 5, because you'll be putting it, see, 5, maybe 6. I just put it with your heart attack bun, then bacon, patty, more bacon, patty, more bacon, patty, more bacon, heart attack bun, and the cheese goes on every slice. So you put at least 5 slices of cheese.
What's a heart attack bun?
Heart attack bun is basically eggs. The best one is duck eggs, but you can use chicken eggs. And you're going to get grated cheese. And again, if you want to go fancy, get the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Otherwise, you can use cheddar, mozzarella. Mozzarella is probably the easiest. And then you get pork rinds. So when you fry up your pork skins, you're going to crush them with a pestle, and you're going to make like a sort of like a bread, and then you mix it together, and then you use one of those little bread. You use, like, what do they call, the little pan? My mom used to have these metal pans, and then you put bread into it and it rises. Well, they have the shape of buns. So you pour that mix in there, and then if you want it to fluff up, all you got to do is get some baking powder and mix it in there, and it'll puff up. But I don't like it puffed up. I like it hard. So that way when you grab it, it doesn't fall apart. So you just bake it in there, and that's it.
And do you have a video on this? Because I'm gonna have to make this.
I
Eventually.
don't have a video because for a while I didn't have enough ingredients. I mean, eggs got expensive, and I haven't made heart attack buns in over a year. But the burger itself, I do have videos on assembling the burger.
Yeah.
You can have the burger in a bowl. You don't need the buns. The buns are more of like when your friends come over and you want to show off and you want to challenge them to the heart attack burger, and you give them a heart attack burger and you say, if you can have the heart attack burger, I'll give you $20. If you can't finish the burger, then you'll be buying meat for the next barbecue. And so far, everybody has to buy meat for the next barbecue because the thing is, the buns themselves are heavy. The Heart Attack Grill's quadruple bypass burger has about 9,000 calories. My burger probably has 10,000 or more calories. It is the monster of burgers. And they have a ridiculous octuple bypass that has 8 patties. That's just totally nuts. You can't enjoy that. That's 4 pounds of meat and all that other stuff. No. But I can eat 4 pounds of meat, but I'm stuffed. I don't want to do anything the rest of the day. 3 pounds of meat is pushing the limit. I like to limit my meal to 2 pounds of meat. I'll have 2 pounds of meat at every meal, or for breakfast, I'll have 1 pound of meat along with bacon and eggs. So I like the 2 pound meal. For me, that's the perfect amount. So I eat 3 meals a day. I eat up to 6 pounds of meat a day in 3 meals.
Wow. 6 pounds. That's a lot. You go through meat. You go through a lot of meat. And you're so thin. I mean, so this just proves that you can eat. And I think her name's Bella, Steak and Butter Gal. She's very thin too, and she eats a lot of food. So this just proves that carnivore diet, you can eat a lot of food and not get fat. So that's interesting. Let's see. Evelyn says, my parents used to wrap a turkey and put it in the engine of their 59 Thunderbird and drive from Chicago to Pittsburgh, and the turkey was just about ready to service. How does a turkey fit in a car? I guess I don't know, but they did it.
Well, the old cars didn't have all the plastic crap they do now. They tended to be cast iron engines. There was a lot of room under the hood. You could put the turkey, you could wrap it up, put it right there on the intake manifold, and it would cook nice. It's like an oven. Underneath the hood is like an oven. It's about 190 degrees to 300 degrees, depending on how fast you go and what kind of engine you have.
But that doesn't ruin the airflow in the, stop the airflow or anything like that? It doesn't harm anything?
No, the airflow is through the radiator. The air going over the engine is not important. So the radiator's in the front of the vehicle. You don't put the food in front of the radiator or it won't cook. It's in the engine compartment. It doesn't hurt anything.
That is so interesting. And we got to say goodbye to Mr. Delisle. That's Chris Cook in Nashville's dad. Thank you for joining us tonight. And he used to cook on snowmobiles.
Yes, they actually have a pot called the Muff Pot that's made for snowmobiles. So if you look up online, It's called Muff Pot, like a muffler pot. It's for cooking on snowmobiles.
That's interesting. And then my friend Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Hope you're having safe travels. And Target Prime Rib. Thomas had to leave. Have a good night at work. Yes, I agree with Rick and Holly. Crafts. It's not food. It's Frankenfood, is what I call it. That's Frankenfood.
Not even duck
That's
food.
not
They
real
won't eat it.
food.
Even a duck won't eat it.
Yep, Kraft singles are poison. I think we all agree. Loaded. One time I accidentally ate it because I went to a restaurant and I forgot to order cheddar. I usually order cheddar, and it came out with American cheese, which is just that processed cheese. And I ate it, but I mean, I knew it wasn't good. Oh, and you have CB's saying you have a pacemaker pizza too?
Yes. My pizza
What's that about?
It's the world's best pizza. Now, normal pizza to me is a laxative. If all I have to do is eat 2 slices of normal pizza, and within 3 to 5 hours, I'm going to have the most violent diarrhea I've ever had. So if I ever get to the point where I want to clean my system out, I'll go to Little Caesars or Domino's, get 2 slices of pizza, and I'll be having watery diarrhea for several trips to the bathroom. It's horrible. Now, Rick's Pacemaker Pizza is a good pizza. And I don't even like pizza. I hate pizza. The smell of pizza reminds me of vomit. It's terrible. But Rick's Pacemaker Pizza is basically grain-free. There is no flour in Rick's Pacemaker Pizza. You can put tomato sauce if you want to. I generally don't because it's going to be more of a cheese and meat pizza. But the crust is the best part. It is the only pizza that is deep fried in pure lard. And what you do, you know that white meat chicken that's nasty, that tastes dry and horrible, that you normally want to give to the cat? Well, you blend that up. So you get your blender, you get your dad's old Vitamix blender that cost him I don't know how much money and used to make all that nasty juice. You throw that in there and you're going to add eggs to it. So if you want to make one pacemaker pizza, you get at least 2 eggs and you get about a cupful of chicken breast and you blend it all in there. Blend it up until it's sort of you're going to have to add like water to it. I like to add yogurt to it to kind of get that consistency. You blend it up. And then you're going to put cheese. You're going to get grated cheese. You're going to grate that up and blend it some more. Then what you do, you take a regular pizza pan and you're going to put a bunch of like lard or beef tallow or whatever fat you have in it. You're going to flatten it out. And then you're going to flip it over and flatten it out some more. Then you get a large frying pan and you put lard in that frying pan, enough so that you get a good fry going. You take that pizza crust that you make and instead of putting it in the oven, you put it in the pan and you let it fry. And then just let it sizzle until it starts to get hard. Then you got to take the little pizza spatula, pick it up, and flip it over without splashing it all over yourself. And then you just let it fry up. Once it's nice and firm, you take it out of the lard. Then the next step is going to be to bake the pizza. So once you've made the crust by frying it, you're going to have to bake it. Now, you can bake it on the stove. You could do the same pan, but what you have to do, take the lard out of it and then put a grate to hold it up off the bottom of the pan so it doesn't burn. Put the cast iron lid on it and bake it. And then what you do, you top your pizza with cheese, meat, sardines, sausage, whatever you like. Put it all on there, put a lot of cheese, and then just bake it. And what you're going to end up with is a chicken crust with cheese and meat all baked together. Now, if you want a more standard pizza, you have friends coming over, you hit your garden, you're going to have some tomatoes like I do that are fermented. And what you do with the fermented tomatoes, you rub them through a screen, you get rid of all the seeds, you get rid of all the skins. Take the tomato paste, put it down on your crust, then you put the meat and cheese on top of it, bake it. You can bake it in the oven if you want. Preheat your oven, stick it in there. It'll look like a regular pizza. The thing is that when you eat it, it's going to take a little bit more chewing because it's chicken, but it's going to have sort of a crispiness and a softness to it. It's different than regular pizza, but it's really good, has a great flavor, and The cheese edges get crispy. It's really, really a great pizza. And it's like eating a sandwich of meat. It's so good. You did?
Hold on.
Okay.
Do you have a video on this as well?
No, I don't. I haven't made one because it's so hot that I didn't want to turn on the oven to make the standard pacemaker pizza. I've done it outside, but I haven't had the ingredients, so I haven't made it. It's been a while since I had any white meat chicken.
We might have to do another collaboration where you come on my channel and you talk me through the steps while I do it on screen, because I have to make that. An instructional video where Rick tells Amy what to do. Maybe.
I have some weird ways of cooking. You've probably seen me do live streams and go on other people's live stream while I'm cooking. I have ways of cooking unattended. That's one of my secrets. I like to make it easy. What I don't want to do is be in the kitchen having to babysit the food. I put it in the pot, I turn on the heat, and when it smells good and it sounds good, it's ready to eat. Real simple.
That is awesome. And I'm going to ask one of my moderators to throw Rick's channel in the chat. Rick is at Charger Mopar on YouTube. Just so everyone, I think everyone here, most everyone here already tunes into Rick. But if you're not tuned into Rick's channel, he is very interesting. He does a lot of bike rides. He has Saturday morning live streams. And I love his live streams because instead of bringing people on screen, he has his telephone. He has his rotary style telephone. That is so cool. And his cool microphone that you refurbished, that you got. Yep, people call into his rotary, his old style phone, and can talk on his live stream. And again, that's at Charger Mopar. Who said this? Oh, CB. Who is this crazy Rick guy? Joke. I'm coming to find Rick and we will survive. Exactly. Like Rick would be the guy that I would want to have as my friend if the end of the world is going down. Oh, here, Evelyn just posted your channel. Thank you, Evelyn. Okay, so this might be a controversial question. And I do have vegan friends, and I do have... Rick just disappeared on me.
No, I heard something outside. I think there's a possum trying to get in the window.
That might be tomorrow night's dinner. Have you ever had possum?
I've never eaten possum. But Milton is investigating.
Yeah, I saw him hop off your lap. So I have vegan friends. Vegans are welcome on my channel. I'm just going to say this. For those of you, if you know, in the carnivore community, some of the doctors and other YouTubers have said in the past that plants are trying to kill us. I want to know your opinion as a carnivore. Do you believe that plants are trying to kill us, like some of those in the carnivore community? Or do you think that for some of us, it would be okay to eat an occasional plant? What is your thought on this, Rick?
Human beings are able to survive all over the world. We're basically like pigs. We are technically omnivores when necessary. The carnivore diet is an ideal diet for us, I think, for most people. But some people do just fine eating plant material. I'm not against plants. I grow them myself. I have a rather extensive garden in my little yard. I grow plenty of fruits and vegetables, which I give away to my friends. Even my vegan friends have to admit the bananas from my yard are better than the ones in the store. The mangoes I grow are the best anywhere. Nobody can grow a mango like me. I have really good avocados, and I have loquats. I have citrus trees. In fact, I'm just starting to get some oranges that are ripening, and I may have to eat an orange on camera one day to show everyone that I can eat fruit. It doesn't hurt me. I don't think that local seasonal fruit is bad. What I do believe, though, is that the vast majority of plants are toxic. If I was to go in the yard and eat a random plant, I would get very sick. the vast majority, I would say 99% of plant material is either inedible or downright toxic. So, in order for us to eat plants, we have to prepare them. So, that's why I think the raw vegans are the biggest cons of all, because they're eating stuff that's killing people. There's no raw plant material that's edible. Now, are there parts of plants that are edible? Yes. For example, fruits. When fruits are properly ripened and picked from the tree, they are edible and they can sustain you. So, if you have no meat to eat and you have a choice between starving and eating plant material, you can eat plant material and survive. The same thing with, now, I don't eat any raw leaves, stems, roots, or seeds. All seeds are toxic, in my opinion. I have never seen a seed, except for coconuts, but coconuts are very unusual because although they are a seed, they're defended mechanically and they're a tropical seed. So the interior, the oil and all that has to be more stable. So coconuts are the exception, but every other seed is toxic in its raw form. To be able to eat seeds, we have to cook them. Even peanuts. Peanuts are not a nut, they're still a seed. They are deadly when you eat them raw. You cannot eat raw peanuts, they will make you very ill. But what do? They roast them. Peanuts are boiled or roasted. Walnuts, pecans, they're all cooked. Cashews are deadly when raw. They're cooked to make them edible. It's like anything else. Even coffee. Coffee is a fruit, but the seed in coffee is toxic. That's why it has caffeine in it. So what do? We ferment them and we roast them. And that makes them safe to brew into coffee. Now, not everybody can drink coffee. I don't drink coffee, but a lot of people do drink coffee. Do you see people dropping dead from coffee? No. Coffee's not going to kill anybody because it's prepared. But on the other hand, if you went to the coffee bush and you ate the seeds right out of the coffee cherry, you would have violent diarrhea because the caffeine and a couple of other chemicals that are in there are very strong. They'll make you sick. And that's really, it's like people eat rhubarb. You have to cook that or it's toxic. There's a lot of plants that are just toxic. Now, a lot of the garden plants that we grow have been specially bred to be more edible, like lettuce, for example. Lettuce does not exist in the wild. In the wild, you have what's known as wild lettuce, which has a lot of toxins in it. Because if the plant was easily edible, all the animals and insects would eat it and the plant would go extinct. It's that simple. So I don't think that plants are trying to kill you, but I do think that all plants are protected by some chemicals. Some plants we've adapted to eat, some plants we've bred to make them edible. But go out in the woods and you'll find out that 99% of what's out there is not edible and can probably kill you.
Thank you. That was a great answer. CB says, I don't remember, but I may have eaten possum, but I know for a fact I've eaten groundhog twice. Well, CB, I have a groundhog living under my shed in the backyard. So I will either have you make a trip here to extract that groundhog, or I will try to catch a groundhog and ship it to you.
That's funny.
And Paul had to leave. Thank you. And he loves hearing how Rick does his heart attack meals and pacemaker pizza. I got to do these too. And I think this is for you. You may have just become the most interesting carnivore in the world. That's why I wanted to have you on. The more I got to know you and the more I heard your stories, about how you ate parking lot chicken and iguanas and ducks and, all of the technical stuff that you do is just quite interesting. I'm like, I gotta have him on. You're so interesting. Christ is my cure says my sister's a healthy vegan, but her medical conditions require me to only eat meat. People get too bent out of shape. Hence why I love this group. And I love this group too. Like even before I became carnivore, Rick, Peter, Thomas, Aaron, everybody just accepted me in here and accepted that I was still eating vegetables and other things. And, you know, for the majority, I'm not saying that there isn't some people, but for the majority of the carnivore community, and I think some of it has to do with just the calm mindset that everybody has, what carnivore does to you. You know, everybody has been very friendly and grounded. Ew, groundhog is great. They're very fatty, but only live on leafy vegetation. Groundhog's in my backyard. Maybe because we have leafy vegetation back there, but oh, isn't a woodchuck a groundhog? I don't know. Is that the same thing? Do you know, Rick?
I'm not
Do you
sure. We
guys
don't
have
seem to have that here.
groundhogs there?
I've never seen any.
They're mean, and they usually only come out at night, but mine is rogue, and my treadmill, I have a little 4-season room with a treadmill on it, and I go out there and walk every day. And he's coming out in the middle of the day, and he obviously sees me, and he doesn't care. He's like, "Girl, I can take you." That groundhog looks at me, is like, "You be my lunch." I'm pretty sure.
Cook them up.
Boiled peanuts. I miss boiled peanuts, Sandy says. Here we go. CB says Rick and I will collaborate with our own exotic wild game cookout show. That's a great idea for a theme of a show. You guys need to set that up.
Catch and cook.
Call it Catch and Cook. I love it. I love it. You are so creative. Let's see. Very interesting man. Thanks goodness for him. I dispatched the groundhog in the shed at my cousin's farm last summer. Dispatched. Does that mean like took care of? Is that like
killed it?
What that means?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. CB, Cranky Carnivore Cutlers here. Hi, Cranky. Oh yeah, he said that. That's who that was. Okay, and then Brian says, I sure eat a lot of wild game. I have for about the past 50 years. Had pheasant last night. Pheasant's excellent. I've had that before. Gary says, Sandy, I'll send you a statue of Mr. Peanut for your china cabinet so you won't miss peanuts. This is funny. Holly says Rick is a cross between Granny from Beverly Hillbillies and Duck Dynasty. Granny. I wish I had a picture. You know the Granny with the little bun?
I remember.
Didn't she carry a shotgun and run around?
Oh, yeah. Just catching everything from the neighborhood and cooking it up.
So Brian's asking me, what am I doing next month? Because I'm still doing carnivore this month, clean, no cheese. So, okay, so I'm going from 30 days to 60 days this month, right? And there's some stuff happening. Like, I have a cold. Well, I am getting over this cold right now, but I've noticed a couple things. I noticed that my sense of smell, like I've never had a really good sense of smell because I've also had sinus issues, Rick, okay, my whole life. And I was supposed to have sinus surgery as a kid, but it was too dangerous. So my parents never did it. And now I'm an adult and like I'm not going to do it now, especially not now that I found keto carnivore because that has taken care of a lot of the problems that I have. But I've noticed my sense of smell has gotten more acute and it's never been good. And I don't want to throw my husband under the bus, but when he makes strange smells, like they're definitely more intensified. I also notice like when I blow my nose, even with a cold, I can smell the slightest perfume on toilet paper or a Kleenex. It's weird. It's like, why am I smelling weird things that I never smelled before? The other weird thing, now, for those of you who have been following my story, know that my hair fell out because I was on a medication for migraines called topiramate. And it took me over a year to figure out why my hair was falling out. So in January, I quickly stopped that medication. And yes, my hair is growing back. But in the 30 days I've gone carnivore, now this is going to sound strange, but stick with me. I've noticed my leg hair is growing in really thick and really dark, which that's something you don't want as a female, is to have thick leg hair. But it's like, man, I'm like, I'm going to have to shave this more often. And so I know if my leg hair is growing in thick and dark, that this hair must be growing in better too, which is a good thing. And I'm not like you, Rick. I started going gray at 19, right? So I do dye my hair, but I'm wondering if it's growing in dark as well on my head. So
Yeah.
that's a couple of the interesting things just in 30 days, aside along with getting over a cold in a few days, feeling much better on a cold. So I anticipate in the next 30 days that I will be continuing on with carnivore, and I probably, that would be giving me up to 90 days, not just 60 days. And honestly, I didn't even feel like my last alcoholic drink was on July 5th. And I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I would occasionally drink. So it wasn't that big of a deal to not drink alcohol. I was more of a social drinker. So I anticipate continuing on with that. Now, whether I'm going to try cheese or not, I don't know. I need advice from people. Can I have an occasional vegetable like once a month? What is your thoughts on that, Rick?
I guess it all depends on what kind of reaction you have. I don't think it would be an issue for most people. Vegetables are not high in carbohydrates, as far as I know. So you can try it and see. I mean, if you've been on the keto diet for a long time, you might be used to them.
Well, I've also noticed, though, that even being on keto, when I eliminate stuff and then I try to add it back in, I would get really sick. I'm that way with gluten. I cannot have any gluten or I cannot walk for like 2 weeks. My joints get
Stay
so
away.
inflamed. So I'm curious. I may have to try some experiments and eat a vegetable once and just see, okay, now, maybe after 90 days, I don't know,
You
and
know,
eat cheese.
why not try fermented vegetables like sauerkraut?
Oh, and that brings up a good point because I have my own special recipe for kimchi, fermented kimchi that I love to make. I had some gut issues there for a while, and so I started making kimchi, and I think that really helped. So
See,
maybe you're right. Maybe I'll start with that. But so that's a good question, Brian. I envision myself at this point continuing on, just like so many carnivores do when they see all of the wonderful health benefits. But I am of the mindset not to set myself up for failure. So I'm just going to take it day at a time. And I also have started. Hold on, I don't know if I can get to these. I bought these. These are ankle weights so that I can strap them on my ankles or my arms. And I haven't been doing them since I got a cold because I'm just trying to get steps in normally, not feeling optimal. But I have also next to my desk, I have these. I don't even think we bought these. I think these might have been gifted to me. So dumbbells. So I'm going to try to do some, weights. I have TheraBands from all my years of doing physical therapy. I have a balance board. I have a treadmill. I have my friend's Peloton bike, which I would never spend that kind of money on a bike, but we're housing it for her right now. So I'll get on that. And I'm also thinking of doing some functional exercise videos of how people who don't have money for a gym membership can do exercises at home, chair squats, planks. I've been learning about this farmer's walk, and I envision Rick does a lot of farmer's walking, which is carrying heavy things while walking.
mm-hmm.
So,
Batteries, engine parts.
batteries, now a lot of us don't drink milk, but if you have any kind of, bug your friends who buy milk and get milk jugs and fill them with water and just carry those around. There's a lot of things you can do to do functional exercise without having to go to the gym. You can do it in your own home. The weather could be blizzardy outside. It could be 100 degrees outside. And you could just, a lot of times, if I don't feel like getting on the treadmill while I'm working during the day in between calls, I get up and I go up and down the stairs a few times and I walk around the living room a few times. And that's how I've been getting exercise and steps in. So I'm going to try to take things to the next level. I do have a gym membership. It's only $10 a month, but I haven't been going. So I would like to start going back to that. But what do you do, Rick? I mean, you do a lot of exercise in your job, but what do you typically do for exercise during the day?
I haven't worked out in years. I hate exercise. I guess one day when I get set up for it, I had a home gym for a while. I used it, but never really gained anything. But what I do a lot is just, I'm cleaning out somebody's place. It's back and forth, up and down stairs, back and forth to the van. And I do use a bicycle to get around for all my short trips because I'm trying not to waste fuel. So all my shopping trips are on the bicycle, and I'll go 10 miles each way on a bicycle. And I tend to ride in spurts. I'll ride all out for a little bit, then I'll coast for a while, then I'll ride all out. It depends. Plus, I carry weight when I'm on the bicycle too. So it's a little different than the average cyclist.
How do you carry your groceries back? Do you have a little compartment on the bike or do you have to carry them like on the handlebars?
I carry them on the handlebars, or sometimes I'll put them on my lap. I got all ways of doing it. I used to have on my other bike a rack, but that bike fell apart. It rusted. So I ended up scrapping it. And then this bike, it has a suspension, so I can't put the rack on it. My other bike, it has a rack on it, but the problem is I hit a coconut tree with it, so it got messed up. So I got another bike my friend gave me. I need to fix that. Tire keeps going flat. But yeah, when the wheel came off and I hit the coconut tree, it messed up the forks, and I got bumped as well.
Is
But
that when the coconut hit you in the head?
no, that's when I was hunting an iguana. I was in my backyard trying to get an iguana, and I hit it with a crossbow, but it ended up hitting the coconut, and then the coconut fell, and before I could turn around, it fell down. It hit another branch, and it went boom right on my head and knocked me on the ground.
Wait, did you just say you were hunting iguana with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, I was hunting an iguana with a crossbow in my backyard.
That would be an interesting video. I'm just saying.
That's
Of
my
Rick with his
preferred method.
crossbow.
That's my preferred method because when you shoot them with a crossbow, you can get them right through the head and they'll drop down. Plus, when I hunt by the canal, I have a reel attached to it. So it's like all the rednecks that go bow fishing. It's just in this case, it's on a crossbow. So it has a reel on there. When you shoot the iguana, they go straight to the canal to get away from you. So you let them kind of swim around a little bit. And then when they stop moving, you reel them in. And that's it. You don't lose your iguana.
So they're in the water and there's a line on the arrow and then you shoot them and reel them in. Oh my goodness.
Well, I shoot them usually on the canal bank, but as soon as you hit them, they're going to go straight for the water because that's how they get away from predators. So they go right in the water. They swim really well and they go down. But when you shoot them in the head, you got the bolt and the crossbow, and it's heavy, and it's got like a little, what do you call it? It's tapered, so it goes through the head and it stays in there. So once they get in the water, they'll move around for a while, but eventually they'll die, and then you just reel them in, and then that way you don't lose your iguana. And I mean, I've had some big ones. I shoot them and they lose. You lose iguana, you lose your little arrow bolts, and that's it. But when you got the bow on, the reel on the bow, you don't lose them. It's like going fishing.
That's awesome. You have so many interesting things. Hi, Lisa. Lisa Carnivore Whisperer is here. Welcome.
That's why you don't see me on the mainstream carnivore channels. They see me and they go, nope, I don't want that Rick on here. He's crazy. He's bad for marketing.
Oh, someone says, CB says, Amy, your sense of smell improvement is because you are turning into a carnivore beast predator. Yeah, but some of the smells that I've been smelling aren't always good. I'm just saying. That's awesome. Yeah, you're definitely, you do things a little different than, you're not just going to the grocery store, you're actually hunting for your food. Although I've seen Maria Emmerich. She doesn't like to advertise. You know who Maria Emmerich is, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's that super skinny lady.
Yes, she does her own hunting as well. I've seen her with her crossbow. But she doesn't like to advertise it because I think, some
YouTube.
people don't. Yeah, YouTube and some people don't appreciate uh people hunting animals, but I mean, I I'm just gonna say this. I don't know how to say this in the most tasteful way, but when you go to the grocery store and there's chicken in the package, that chicken has been less humanely treated than going out and hunting a wild chicken or a turkey or something like that. I'm just gonna say that those chickens are all piled on top of each other, pooping on each other, doing all kinds of
Yep.
stuff. They're cooped up.
If
So
if you
some
saw the way I preferred my duck for cooking, you would think that the duck was having a vacation. I treat my ducks so good because when you treat them good and you fatten them up under a low stress condition, they're so flavorful. That duck tastes better than the finest ribeye steak you could ever imagine. People, they've had Muscovy duck from the canal. They say it tastes like dirt. I said, that's the wrong way to do it. It's like when you cook snails. You don't just pick the snails out of the garden and cook them up. They're toxic. That tastes bad. You got to feed them a clean diet for a couple of weeks. That gets them all cleaned out. And then you can cook them up. Then you have delicious escargot instead of eating dirt.
so you treat the animals very well before you eat them. It's
And I
not like
don't
they're
and
being
I don't
abused or anything
I
like
don't even
that.
kill them. They kill themselves.
With the duck guillotine.
With the duck guillotine. I had one die of a heart attack. He just died of a heart attack. I gave him so many mangoes and bread, all the duck food. I fattened him up. He was like 18 pounds when he died. I fattened him up for 2 months. He was the
Did you
nastiest.
eat him?
Oh, I ate him. Yes, I ate him. I'm not going to throw a good meat after he had a heart attack. I had to cut him open anyway to see what he died from. And when I found the heart, it was covered in fat and his artery was all blocked. I pulled it out. It had like a big, like just a bunch of garbage in there. I told a friend of mine, he's like,
Wait,
what happened to your duck? You cooked him. I said, yeah, he died of a heart attack. How do you know he had a heart attack? Well, I walked out there and he was twitching around and he was moving funny. And I thought maybe he had an infection, but he was clean. I just washed him like a day before. He was big and fat. I picked him up, super heavy. I mean, he was like, and his liver was all fat. We had foie gras. That's the ethical version of foie gras because usually they stick a funnel down there and they use a crank to force feed the birds. They'll use geese or Muscovy duck for foie gras. This duck, he made his own foie gras. When I took his liver out, it was just like butter. You could make pate out of it. This duck was so
mm.
fat. I mean, I had a whole can of duck fat left after I cooked him. I roasted him. I didn't have to fry him because he was so fat. I mean, even his heart was covered in fat. I got a lot of fat out of him, and he was a scraggly looking canal duck. He looked like something that went through a wood chipper when I got him. But I figured, you know what? I'm going to feed him. I'm going to fatten him up because he was aggressive. He was always fighting with the other ducks. So he was not suitable for the flock. I didn't want his genes in my flock creating more aggressive ducks. I tried to get the ducks more and more tame. Well, he even attacked a friend of mine. So I was like, okay. So I moved him to the executive suite. And when I put him in the executive suite, I fed him everything that he liked because he came from behind the hospital. I guess he ate junk food his whole life. And that's probably why he had the heart attack because he had eaten junk food. I guess he got sick, lost a lot of weight, but he had a taste for junk food, especially Doritos and those chips. I got as many of them as I could. They had stale chips in the dumpster at Aldi. I got boxes of them. And I kept feeding him. I fed him mangoes, papayas, all kinds of tropical fruit. Anything that was going bad, I gave it to him. And he ate constantly. That duck pooped so much, it was crazy. And I just kept shoveling the poop into my tank where I make my gas along with my neighbors. They give me their dog poop, cat poop, all the animal poop. I said, bring me all your poop. I give them a bucket they can put the poop in. Don't put it in a bag because it just interferes with fermentation. You can put it in a paper bag. Don't put it in a plastic bag. Put it in a bucket, put a lid on it. I take it to the back and I dump it into my tank. I mix it up with grass clippings and rotten fruit or whatever else I can. Close it up, let it ferment for a week. When the inner tube is inflated, all I got to do is put a board on top of it to make pressure, open the valve, and it goes right to my kitchen. I got a little 3/8 of an inch gas pipe that runs down the backyard. It's plastic. It goes to a filter, goes right into my kitchen. I cook with poop.
Okay, this is the first time I've heard this. Rick cooks with poop, folks.
It's called
That
biogas.
is wow, that is incredible. That is so interesting. Cranky Carnival Cutler says, please share your kimchi recipe. I have a written kimchi recipe. What I will probably do after this live stream is post it on the community page on my channel. And I made it myself. It's keto because vegetables aren't really carnivore, but fermented vegetables I think are pretty good for you, especially. But anyway, that is very interesting, Rick. This is like every time I listen to you or talk to you or see you on somebody's channel, I learn another little Rick nugget of information. That and essentially you did a duck autopsy on that duck then, huh? To try to figure out what happened to him.
That's what I do. You know, if a duck dies for an unknown reason, I want to see if he's got a parasite or if he's got an infection. There was no infection. The meat was just fine, but his heart was covered in fat, and his main aorta or whatever it is, the main artery that comes out was clogged. So he had a heart attack.
So yeah, I bet you're right. CB says smoked sausage with some sauerkraut and mustard. I call sauerkraut. Redneck Slane. Do you eat any like pepperonis or anything like that? Any processed meats like that ever?
Very rarely. If somebody gives it to me, I'll eat it, but I've never bought any.
Or salami?
I've had it given
I would
to me
eat
and I've eaten
salami.
it, but I don't really buy it.
You don't
My
buy
friend
it.
used to give me sausage all the time because they would have a sale on it. It was super cheap. There was a butcher shop he used to go to, and they had some kind of what they call a summer sausage or something like that. They always had. And at the end of the season, they had tons of it. It was cheap. They were selling it for like 50 cents a pound. So I go, okay, I'll try some of it. It was not bad.
Thank you, Christ is my cure. That's very sweet of you. Let's see. Rubens. Gary says he never liked sauerkraut, but I like it. I used to love Rubens sauerkraut and roast beef. I would probably eat that occasionally, not on a sandwich, just obviously without bread. Rick and Gilligan are both unique individuals. Do we miss? Oh, it's because Thomas says, isn't that the episode of the Gilligan's Island coconut falling on the head?
It could be, but around here, my yard looks like Gilligan's Island.
Thomas says, can you imagine Rick in a hammock? I don't know. Maybe.
I used to have one.
Well, and that's the other thing I like about you. So you like stuff from the 50s and 60s. And I love old movies. You probably don't watch a lot of TV, but my favorite actress is Audrey Hepburn. I even have a cat named Audrey Hepburn. I like Cary Grant movies. I like Gone with the Wind. Oh gosh, To Kill a Mockingbird, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. I love watching old movies. So when you know your intro to your show is a bunch of old pictures with good rock and roll music, and I don't know, I found that to be interesting as well. So do you think that you maybe are like from the past or should have been in a different time period, or
Well, think about
what
this. My parents were born in 1930. So if they would have had me younger, I would have been born in the 50s. I mean, think about it. If I would have been born, let's say they had me at age 25, I would have been born in 1955. And I would have grown up in the 60s and 70s.
in the 60s?
But instead, it took them a while to get pregnant. And they didn't get pregnant until 68. And by that time, the 50s was long gone. The 60s was pretty much gone. So it's possible that genetically I was maybe supposed to be at that time period. I don't know. But I think a lot of it, too, is that when I was growing up, there was still a lot of that 50s stuff around, and people started getting rid of it. And since I was poor and I used to pick the garbage, it always amazed me that somebody would throw something out that was still good. So a lot of the stuff that I picked up was from that time period. And then when I looked at the new stuff, it was like, well, the new stuff doesn't look as good as the stuff they're throwing out. So I thought, I'm going to take the stuff out of the garbage. Oh, you're a trash picker. Oh, garbage picker. Haha. Hey, I'll take it anyway. And I got to that habit. I got to the habit of rescuing stuff before it got scrapped or thrown away. And that's where most of what I own came from. I mean, you look around here. I mean, you see, you can look at my little setup that I have here. This mixer from the garbage, phone from the garbage, another phone from the garbage, fan from the garbage. I mean,
That's amazing. Are you still there, Rick? Okay, he gave us the finger, the index finger, not the middle finger. That's cool. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, you can see, like when I talk, see how the lights come on to let me know
Yeah,
that
that's really neat.
yeah, it's like a radio station, but in a living room radio station. And then you have the phone line where you can call in. There's a patch that you can plug in. So when, you've seen, I talk to people on the phone, they can hear it. And yeah, everything here is old. A lot of the stuff was here when I was a kid, like these encyclopedias, these pillows or something my mom had. This sofa I got from clean out job. I find stuff all the time. So yeah, I like that time period. And when I build my new house, it's going to be 50 style. I don't like what I call they have now. I call it BWG. That's what I call all the new construction, BWG, and that is black, white, and gray. Everything now is
Mm-hmm.
black and gray. If you look at a McDonald's, it's black, white, and gray. Go back to the 60s and see what a McDonald's looked like. Two golden arches, big windows in the front, red tile, red and white tile, totally different. You look at anything from the 50s, big old neon sign. Now it's just bland, black, white, gray, whatever. And what's ironic is all these companies always put nostalgic pictures and they make hints to the past, but they throw away everything that's really from the past. So I think it's a corporate mentality. The idea is get rid of anything that is interesting and just make it generic and get people used to it. You don't want people being around too many things. You don't want them looking and seeing different textures and colors and surfaces because they might start thinking. Think about even in the 70s, everything was so colorful. You had avocado green and yellow and all these other weird colors. And they look at it now, it's tacky, but it was to get attention. And then in the 80s and the 90s, by the 2000s, then they started getting to this more bland sort of, I don't know. And I'm a big fan of modern architecture, but I like the 50s style. I don't like the new black, white, and gray. In the 50s, we had bricks and we had stones and we had chrome and we had different materials. You had varnished wood. Everything was different. Even here, we have this plastic. Look at this old 60s plastic. See?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep,
something.
I remember that.
You got the paneling. It's pretty much, that's the way things used to be. But now, it's just basic. Everything's painted white. It's black, white, and gray. That's it.
Brian says Milton must have brought back the possum.
Yeah. Now, Milton was at the window. I think he chased it away. Come here, Milton. Come on, come on. Here we go. Ah, there's Milton. Come on, there's my little sweetie. Look at that cute little monster. He's a good little monster.
He's sweet.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He can be vicious, too. When he sees another cat and you catch him at the wrong moment, he'll attack you. He already attacked my leg. He scratched me pretty good. Got a couple of scratches right there. Scratched me right through my pants. Right, baby? But you're an animal. You have moods.
Evelyn says good night. We've been on for about 2 hours now, so I don't want to keep you too long. Is there any final thoughts that you would like to share with everybody?
Uh, the only thing I can say is my main saying is think for yourself. if you're going to do something, don't do it just because somebody told you to do it. You need to think for yourself. You need to decide, is this something, I mean, there's going to be good and bad to everything. Is this something I want to take on? Is this something I want to try? Am I satisfied with my life the way it is now and I can continue this way, or am I looking for more? And when it comes to what you eat, do you really think that eating something produced in a factory using chemistry that comes in a box or bag is going to be better than something you can catch and cook yourself? Or something that's, you can cook that somebody else caught, or even if you have to, something you have to pick and eat. If you can pick it right off of the plant, if it's local and you know it doesn't affect you, that's good. If something does affect you, get rid of it. There's no taste that's as good as being healthy feels.
That's right. I agree with that. So where can we find you on social media?
I really don't do social media except for YouTube. On YouTube, my channel name is Charger Mopar. But all you got to do is go to Google and look for Rick, the 41-year carnivore. Or actually, when I first started, I was a 39-year carnivore, and the 40-year carnivore, 41. It'll be 42 years before you know it. And my first interview was in August of 2022, and it's already August of 2025. So, of course, my first interview was deleted, but that one had over 300,000 views because at that time, I think I was sort of a celebrity in the carnivore community. Now I've been overshadowed by a lot of the other carnivore channels, the carnivore doctors, the carnivore influencers, and all that. But I think I'll be around even after some of them are not even out doing it anymore.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on. I just love your stories. And like I said, I get little new nuggets every time I talk to you, and that makes things very interesting. And you are welcome back on here every time, even though my channel is tiny, even in comparison to yours. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and talk with me. And let's do it again sometime.
Of course.
Maybe we can sometime do a cooking thing together or something. But you are
There you go.
welcome anytime. And everybody go, if you have not checked out Charger Mopar on YouTube, please go. He's a lot of fun to hang out with, especially on Saturdays. He has releasing videos all the time. And again, thank you very much. And I'll be back on in a week from tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I just want to thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream now, but everybody hang out for the rolling credits of everybody who participated in the stream. And everybody have a great week. See you later.